From the field to your feed, what is up, Touchdown Tribe? It's your girl, Coach Chels. So shout out to Culture Invasion Podcast for sending me this in my Discord, because we are going to be discussing the recent hiring of Todd Monken to the Cleveland Browns.
Todd Monken, officially the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. He spent 3 seasons as the offensive coordinator with the Ravens. Mike, what are your initial thoughts on the hire?
I'm surprised you didn't mention anything about Georgia.
We're getting to it,
right?
Don't worry.
Because he's your Georgia guy, won 2 national championships. Here's my thoughts on the hire. It doesn't matter. I know that doesn't make for great television. It's not a sexy soundbite, but it's an organizational issue with the Browns. Todd Monken is a guy who's never been a head coach at the NFL level. He had a cup of coffee in college as a head coach, but he's a 60-year-old man that's never really been in charge of anything. And now he's coming into this dumpster fire where other coaches said, take me off the list.
I'm done. Take me off.
Don't even want to be considered. It's more than just a Todd Monken problem. He's not going to be able to fix it by himself.
Alright, so let's break down what he had to say in that clip. He mentioned the organizational issues, and that is no secret right now, and we're going to continue to get into that throughout the video. He mentioned how Todd Monken has no head coaching experience. True. No head coaching experience in the NFL. And then he talks about how he had a cup of coffee as a head coach in college football. And I believe he was head coach of Southern Miss, but it was a very small tenure at a head coaching position in college football. And now, mentioned he's older, never been in charge of anything. That's another issue. Also, other coaches declined the job. We're going to continue to get into that as well. But that just tells you how bad it is with the Browns right now. But let's continue watching, because this guy is so entertaining. And I laugh so hard watching this. Probably going to laugh again with this.
So you're not counting Southern Miss as a head coaching experience?
I'm counting it, but he was there for 2 seasons. Was it 2 seasons or 3 seasons? I like how you look at the notes like a professional.
I took some notes, but
Either
I don't
way,
have how many years.
He stunk.
I think it was 2.
He was in Cleveland as an offensive coordinator for Freddie Kitchens. It was one of the most disappointing Browns seasons in recent memory because they had momentum going into that year. People thought they would take the next step and become a perennial playoff team. Instead, disaster.
Alright, so let's break this down with his resume as they were discussing. He was head coach of Southern Miss from 2013 to 2015. And then he was at Cleveland Browns 2019 as offensive coordinator. Georgia 2020 to 2022, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. And then Baltimore Ravens 2023 to 2025 as an offensive coordinator. But let's talk about the disastrous 2019 season with the Browns as offensive coordinator. This was horrible, and like he mentioned, they thought they were going to progress and move forward, but instead it was disastrous. And this just speaks with his resume of how underqualified he really probably is for this head coaching position with an already dysfunctional Browns organization.
When you look at what he did at Georgia, of course, won 2 national championships. He led Stetson Bennett, guys like Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey, incredible offensive players who are successful in the NFL right now. Stetson Bennett, of course, dealt with some other things. But
fuck you and go Dogs.
But Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey, both successful in the league.
Y'all, I'm not completely hating on what that girl had to say, but in the words of Judge Judy,
your story is baloney.
Baloney. Because let me explain why I don't see how what he did at Georgia is going to help him with being the head coach of the Browns. He was under the guidance of Kirby Smart as head coach at Georgia. So again, he had no leadership role, no head coaching role with a major team. The only experience he had as head coach was Southern Miss, and that was only from 2013 to 2015. He only lasted at the Cleveland Browns as offensive coordinator for 1 year. before going back to college. So what is it going to do for him with his experience at Georgia? And might I add, his experience at Georgia was years ago. Like, this is the past. Things have changed. And being in the NFL is different. I get that he developed players like Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey, Stetson Bennett. That's great. Hopefully he can make an impact for Sanders. Dylan Gabriel, I believe, is the other backup QB. And you have Deshaun Watson. Hopefully he can make an impact for those QBs. But I don't know what he's going to do different with an already dysfunctional organization, as we're going to continue to talk about. I don't know how.
I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know how it's going to go. It could go either way.
The experience at Georgia is going to help him in this situation.
The offense is the question mark. I mean, the defense is going to be led by a guy in Myles Garrett. You feel pretty good with that side of the ball to a certain extent. But it's the question mark of who's going to be the quarterback. Is it Shedeur Sanders? Is it Dylan Gabriel?
That's a big question
It
mark.
is, but
I'll
look
answer
at...
Y'all, I do not know what that girl was talking about with the defense, because the defense is upset with the head coaching hiring of Todd Monken right now. And we're going to play a later video of who the defense wanted as head coach. And so I don't know how great that's going to be, since you already ticked off the defense with this head coaching hiring of Todd Monken. And then you add on the factor of what they were talking about with the big question mark for the QB position. Like, that's a major question mark to have to answer. And this is starting off his first year. So you have inexperienced, and you throw in all these other issues, the organizational issues, the QB question mark, ticking off your defense. I don't know what this guy, Todd Monken, is getting himself into, but God bless him.
You know, and all we can do is pray for her. But still, this is real shit.
It's a big question
It
mark.
is, but
I'll answer your question on Dylan Gabriel. No.
No, I was going to say that too.
And I would think Shedeur Sanders is a no too, but then again, what's your organizational...
Then who's your yes?
I don't know. What's your organizational plan? This is a very weak quarterback draft. I find it hard to believe your next franchise quarterback is coming from this draft. And so
Sanders really might be their best bet for the Cleveland Browns to start, because they're not working with much else. You have a weak QB draft class, like he mentioned. Gabriel, he could be out. I don't see how they'll keep him. Watson is secured right now. Watson's secured by his contract, which ends, I believe, in 2026, but it makes it difficult to release him because of how well structured his contract is. It's a huge buyout for the Browns if they choose to cut him. So Watson's secured. But as far as what much else you can do with the QB position, I don't know, other than just start Sanders. And I feel so bad for Sanders.
He has to overcome another obstacle. So I'm going to support him.
Being with the Browns organization, the worst possible place for a rookie QB to be right now.
And so then you're talking about trades, cast-offs. What do you do? Honestly, I don't have an answer. I want someone to tell me what the plan is.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan.
I'm not the coach. He's the coach.
Thank God you're not the coach, because that would not
They
go
could do
over
a
well.
lot worse
But
than
do
me.
you not...
Y'all, I think me and that Mike guy have a better chance at running the Browns than Todd Monken. And that's just because of all the inexperience. I mean, hopefully his offensive coordinating and being a QB coach in both college football and the NFL makes a difference. But like I said before, I don't know how much of a difference that's going to play. And where do you start? And what possible trades could you even give up? I mean, I really don't even know. And it's like he said, what's the plan? Like, nobody knows where to start because of the dysfunction with the Browns. The organization, all of it is bad from the ground up. It's a bad place to be right now.
Do you not look at what happened at Georgia with a guy like Stetson Bennett,
Fuck you and go dogs.
who was a walk-on?
I do. And if this was Todd Monken being hired as Ohio State offensive coordinator, I'd say, oh, cool, I like that hire. But this is Cleveland Browns head coach. I don't think this is the right job for him. And in fairness to Todd Monken, I don't know if you bring Vince Lombardi back from the grave if he succeeds at this job.
Okay, so you seem...
Y'all, that guy's comments on Vince Lombardi had me cracking up. But then you got this girl thinking Todd Monken's gonna be the hero just because he played a little part at Georgia.
You know, and I'm not judging you, but I'm just saying everybody else has done it.
Years ago, like, she thinks this is gonna make a major impact on the Browns, and it's not. Like, I'm sorry, not even mailman Stetson Bennett is gonna be able to deliver you out of this one. It's not a good situation that Todd Monken is walking into. And as far as what he said with the college, like if it was him being hired at Ohio State as offensive coordinator, sure, that seems like a good fit. We wouldn't question that. But this is the head coaching job of the Cleveland Browns, where it's already disastrous. So what are we talking about going back with this Georgia thing again? That's just not cutting it. And then this is again why no coach outside the organization wanted the Browns head coaching job. So I don't know what she's thinking that this Georgia offensive coordinating QB coaching is going to do for him at the Browns. But girl, chill out.
Okay, so you seem to not be on the Todd Monken train. Then what train
I'm not
are you
on the Browns train.
Okay,
That's my issue.
The people who are on the Browns train have been through a lot.
I understand, and I feel for them. I really do.
Yeah.
I actually said I think Channel 10 should have a warning when they broadcast the Browns. Hazardous for your health. We have to put it on liquor bottles and cigarette boxes, as we should. We should also put it on television when we're broadcasting the Browns.
Okay, I have a question for you then, Mike. Would you rather have Stefanski still here, Todd Monken, or who's the guy that you'd rather have?
I'd rather have a Comet hit First Energy
That's not a good answer.
Stadium. No, I don't know. That's the thing, is it's such a problem. It's not an easy fix. I can't sit here and say, well, if they just run the ball a little bit better, that'll fix their problems. That's not the answer. They kept the same general manager in place. They have the same ownership in place. I don't know which coach would come in here and fix it. Perhaps, this situation is so bleak that you go for a nuclear option like a guy like John Gruden, where you get his feet wet again in the NFL, and perhaps he has the spine and the backbone behind the scenes to change the way things are done. But they're so knee-deep in their analytics, that too. You can edit this out, right? Analytics BS. I don't think they know what's up from down at this point.
I will say,
Y'all, he's talking about a comet. Might as well just hit the stadium. That is hilarious. But as far as the Stefanski thing goes, maybe they should have stuck with Stefanski, because that was more stability. Now you're just dealing with a ton of instability with the QB situation, coaching change, and then taking off your defense. It's like that's way too much going on right now. And maybe just keeping the head coach would have been better than just getting rid of him, because now you're just starting from the bottom again. And it's like he said, it's not an easy fix. And as far as the general manager situation goes with the organization and all of that, the general manager, Andrew Berry, we are going to get into later on. But the nuclear option, I would not go nuclear John with this. I mean, that would be bad. Like, I do not want to see him back after everything that happened with him with the Raiders.
I will say I do love John Gruden's energy. I would be cool with that, to be honest. But I think that's where I maybe disagree with you, is I'm not so against this Todd Monken hire. Like, I understand.
If he wasn't at Georgia, would you feel the same way?
No, I would.
I don't believe you.
But listen, I look at while he was at Georgia, because I lived through that, right? Like, I, of course, went to the University of Georgia. I wasn't at school when he was there, but I very much followed the team. He was very successful there. And I get college is different than the NFL, but I look at the kind of guys that he shaped on that Georgia football roster.
Are you done? Are you done?
Offensively, and it gives me a lot of hope. That's all I have to say.
Well, you know what? Your point of view sounds better than mine. Let's go with that.
Well, you don't agree with that.
And let's. They also had some like OVI arrests at Georgia. Too,
okay. Well,
during his time
I didn't think we would get into that.
Maybe take the car keys away from him.
Y'all, she got Georgia on her mind, don't she? She cannot let that go. She keeps bringing it up, but I get it. Like, I do think Todd Monken again will have some sort of positive impact on the offense, but I don't think his experience at Georgia is going to help him at the Browns. Will he have some sort of positive impact on the players? Sure, I hope so. But as far as changing anything, I don't see that happening. Not with his little bit of experience that he had at Georgia. That Georgia experience isn't solving his problems at the Browns. I can tell you that right now. But again, I do think he will have some sort of positive impact on the players with the Browns. As far as offense goes, like impacting the quarterbacks, all of that, sure. And then that guy bringing up the Georgia DUIs, some call it OVIs, but around here we call it DUIs. Man, Georgia has had a lot of DUI scandals.
So Mike, are you a Bengals or Browns person? I'm confused now. I mean, you're
a
an
Bengals
Ohio.
or Browns person.
Oh, you're an Ohio person. Are you a fan of either?
I'm a fan of both because if they win, it makes my job more relevant. I love talking about good football. Unfortunately, I'm tasked with talking about bad football. From my personal fandom standpoint, I'm a kid from Chicago.
Well, yeah.
So I'm a Bears fan. I have my own little tortured history.
Cinderella season, baby.
Almost.
I'm sorry about that. Okay, so I feel like we've kind of gotten towards the end of our conversation, not feeling great about this hire.
Well, what do you want me to do? Lie to you? I mean, it's the best hire in the world. They're going to win the division. It's fantastic.
All right, prediction. What is your prediction for season 1 under Todd Monken with the Browns? What's your prediction? Like, realistically.
Pain.
Okay.
Pain for him and the fans that have to watch this team on television. Until I know what their plan is at the quarterback position, I can't tell you.
I agree with that.
I can't tell you.
Because I will say, going off of that, some people may be sitting there thinking, well, but what about Lamar Jackson with the Ravens, 2-time NFL MVP? Yeah, but guys, Lamar Jackson's a really good quarterback. And it's not because of Todd Monken.
He's an excellent quarterback.
Exactly.
He is the best at sort of figuring things out on the fly. And if Lamar Jackson comes in this deal, then I'm excited about Todd Monken. But he doesn't, right?
He doesn't. It's not a package deal in that regard. Right. Yeah, no. Listen, the Browns have a lot to figure out. They got to figure out who the quarterback's going to be. If you were standing here right now, who do you think it is?
To start the season, I think it's Shadur.
Me too.
And I don't think he'll make it through the season as a starting quarterback, but I think that's the safest bet for right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, well, you got anything else you want to add, Mike? I was trying to be a little positive.
I've been so cheery,
but,
right?
Y'all, going off what they're talking about, Lamar Jackson, he's not coming. I don't see him coming. But as far as Sanders go, I think Sanders is definitely most likely to start. I don't see what else they're going to do. And next, we're going to get into this nightcap reaction because it's going to talk about all the little details of the coaches who didn't want to take on this job.
Ojo, when a coaches would rather stay coordinators than go take that job, does that speak to the dysfunction that is actually going on?
I mean, it speaks to the dysfunction, but I mean, I got into it with some Brown fans today on Twitter. Obviously we had some dialogue back and forth, and I said, 3 coaches pulled out, and they said, well, those coaches pulled out because they know they weren't getting the job. And then they talked to me, you need to talk about what you know, because administration or those in positions of power with the Cleveland Browns were flying out to see someone by the name of Nate. I don't remember what Nate's last name was. Excuse me. Chad, you can probably correct me that he's going to be the one to get the job. And I'm like, well, yeah, either way it goes, I don't think coaches are wanting to take, it's not a coveted job. It's not like everyone is lining up, knocking down the door to want to be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Listen, I agree. As much as I love my Bengals, I've always been an advocate for the Cleveland Browns players, not the organization in itself. Their players, especially, Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, Shedeur Sanders, Grant Delphi. You know how I am. If you watch this show long enough, you know how I've always shown support for the Cleveland Browns, even though they're not my team. But it's a dysfunctional organization. It always has been for a very, very long time. And one thing I don't do is I really don't talk about organizations in general, but sometimes you have to call a spade, even if it's Steve, who's always on the positive side of things. It's not good, which is why most of the coaches don't want to coach there. Another issue is obviously the quarterback situation. I don't think there's nothing cemented in place where a head coach feels that comfortable going into that building saying, you know what, this is where we're going to start and we're going to build from here and we'll worry about everything else on the back end.
It's like what Ocho and Shannon Sharp were talking about here with the coaches turning down this job. That's a big deal when you have a coach like Mike McDaniel who took one look at this job and said no thanks. He was the former head coach of the Miami Dolphins and he said no thanks. I'd rather go be an offensive coordinator with the Chargers than to take on this dysfunctional organization and what y'all got going on. That's just how bad it is with the Browns, and everyone has been talking about it.
I agree. I think the thing is that a head coach goes in there and they know Andrew Berry still has control. Most of the time, coaches want to come in, they want to bring their own general manager. With that being said, and then there's a direct, I don't actually get an opportunity to talk to Jimmy and Dee Haslam. I got to deal with Andrew Berry, who's effed up since he's been there. I don't think, he didn't select Myles Garrett, did he? What was the guy that selected Myles Garrett? He selected Baker also. John Dorsey. It is one of 32. Yeah. When you're willing to say, instead of being, kind of your own boss, I would still rather just, be an OC or DC where I am. I think that speaks a lot. That speaks loud and clear.
Shannon Sharp's exactly right on that. It speaks volumes when you have offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators turning down this head coaching job with the Browns. And as far as Andrew Berry goes, the general manager, we're about to get into him next because Pat McAfee is going to talk about how the defense is upset with this hiring of Todd Monken and also talk about the general manager as well.
So whenever they're doing the hiring of the head coach process, and there was like a quiz that had to be taken, there was some homework, and then there was also a qualifier that was like, Schwartz has to stay. So it sounds like everybody in the building was like, Schwartz is really good DC. We don't want to change anything over here. We just want to change the head coach and the offensive coordinator. So then whenever we hear they hired Todd Monken, I just go, okay, so they got Todd Monken on the offensive side, Schwartz on the defensive side. Feels like those two know the AFC North pretty good. That might be a good combo for Cleveland. So my immediate response is like, that's not a bad thing. And then immediately comes out, Schwartz is out, Schwartz is leaving. And then I see the entire place go, if we're going to hire an old coach, why would we not just hire the guy who's already in the building, who has relationships with all the players, who is leading a historic defense and understands what the entire, has been a head coach and fought other head coaches, which we like, by the way, if he's going to do that. Why wouldn't we just hire this old guy if we're going to hire an old guy?
And this was a horrible choice from the Browns. The Browns ticked off the defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. Now he's out. So now there's not only instability with the QB room on offense, but then you ticked off your defensive coordinator. So that just creates more issues.
If it makes sense. And I didn't even think of that reaction. especially if I would have known how hard I think Schwartz wanted the job. Feels like Schwartz really wanted that job. He wanted another crack at the apple. He had been a head coach before. It didn't work out perfectly. So now he's in a place that he knows has an incredible defense, which he can be about. And if he can hit or strike on the offensive side somehow, they can have a good team, especially with a lot of turnover in the AFC North right now. There's really opportunity for the Cleveland Browns. So I didn't know he was pushing as hard for the head coach. I thought he was sticking around on the defensive side. So then whenever it comes out like he wanted it, now he's out, he immediately becomes an incredibly hot commodity everywhere. And the Cleveland Browns people are now like, why'd we piss off the guy who was like maybe the best thing we had? And then Myles Garrett's on the internet saying, I'm on your guys' side. I don't know why we picked this our old white guy. We had the old white guy. I don't know what we're doing on the other side of the ball.
So Schwartz had a better chance at developing this horrible Browns organization than what Todd Monken has right now. Because all he had to do was get a decent offensive coordinator, which I'm sure he could have done, and continued to build the defense the way he was. Like it would have worked out fine, and I had better chances with that versus just hiring some guy with no experience whatsoever. And they ticked off Myles Garrett in the process because Myles Garrett posted this on Instagram, and it was directed towards this whole situation when they hired Todd Monken and Schwartz was going to be leaving. So this is a mess.
And this follows a trend now. 2-year trend. So I don't know. I guess it's just back to back. It's not annual because annual would be a long time. Trend would be 2, like 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah, beginning of an annual, you could say.
Yeah, we're at the beginning stages, potentially, until there is a resolution, which is either a Super Bowl for Cleveland, right? Because that was kind of his messaging, is that he wanted to win. He didn't want to just go to the Hall of Fame. He wanted to win a Super Bowl. Then they paid him $40 million a year, and he said, all right, they told me we could win here. We could win here. So then he is coming out and saying basically he was lied to. Like, hey, you were told we were going to be able to win. That's why I took the deal for $40 million, reset the entire market. I come back. Here we are again.
And we're sitting here again. We're sitting here again talking about the same thing.
They stink. They're not good. They fire their coach. He is obviously campaigning pretty good for Schwartz. He's obviously the best player in Cleveland and has been for a very long time. So although he's not a quarterback, he was certainly campaigning for one of the head coaching candidates. His guy doesn't get the job. Another guy, similar ilk, just other side of the field, gets the job. So I think he's warranted to potentially be a little bit upset. But I think a lot of people are saying, hey, when you took the check to stay in Cleveland, you signed up for all the shit that Cleveland's going to bring.
Oh, fuck that. You got somebody else I can talk to? You got a supervisor or something?
And this is something that Cleveland's going to bring.
So obviously Myles Garrett wanted Schwartz as a head coach, since Schwartz obviously really wanted the job and was really trying to campaign to get the job because you had other players vouching for him. And obviously that didn't end up happening. And now you're stuck in another situation where the Browns have messed up again by taking off the defense, losing their defensive coordinator, hiring an inexperienced offensive coordinator. My guess is they're just hoping that Todd Monken's experience as offensive coordinator, QB coach, helps with this QB situation, but I don't see how that's going to happen. Just horrible decisions on the Browns' part.
Allegedly, Haslam, the owner, went against the consultants and against his staff.
Who told you that was okay? I want names. I want faces. I want to know. Because the shit ain't okay.
And he said, I hear what you're saying. Give me Monken. So who knows if that is just a leak from the building to save face with Schwartz, which could certainly be the case because he probably has friends in that building that were saying like, hey, we're on your side. Then they go the other way. They would like it to be known like, hey, for Jim, we want him to know that we were on his side. And Haslam, the owner, went the other way. So now this is multiple decisions we've been told that Haslam has decided to go against what everybody else is saying and make decisions that could be to the detriment of his business.
I like your plan, except it sucks, so let me do the plan, and that way it might be really good.
And his team, but hey, that's Cleveland football, I think is what everybody said.
So if what the reports are saying is true, that you have an owner with the Browns who's just doing whatever he wants, making his own decisions, disregarding what everybody else says, that explains a lot. of why we see what's going on with the Browns. And obviously Schwartz was really wanted by the staff and by the players as well for the head coaching job. You just have a horrible GM and owner situation going on with the Browns right now, because Andrew Berry, the GM, I believe he had some role in the Browns organization beginning in 2016, but he didn't get the GM title until 2019, I believe. But he has made horrible decisions as well, and we heard where someone else had made the decision to draft Myles Garrett and other players, not the GM or the owner. It had to be other people making those good decisions, nothing to do with them. Like, this just speaks to the Browns organization in a whole and how disastrous it is for them right now. Another thing I'll add is the situation with how they handled this past draft with Sanders and Dylan Gabriel.
He has to overcome another obstacle. So I'm going to support him. I'm going to lift him up. And I'm going to be there for him.
They took 2 QBs, ultimately wasting the potential for them to grow and develop under a veteran QB. For what? I mean, you're ruining these players' careers ultimately.
Yeah, you got to fucking suck at your job. I'm going to come down there and beat the fuck
by disregarding their potential. And that is so unfortunate to see. Such a mishandling of these rookie QBs. But that is going to be it for this video, Touchdown Tribe. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye, guys.
Something's telling me this ain't over yet.